Oh, good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're watching this. So today we're going to explore a little bit, a lot of it, on this idea of loving your neighbor that David talked about on Sunday. And, I got to thinking, the question of who is my neighbor? I kind of got that covered. It's everyone. But the love your neighbor piece, it's what does that mean? And what does that mean when the rubber hits the road, for my faith today? So what does it mean to love your neighbor when things are happening in the world, like what happened in Las Vegas on Sunday? For me, it's easy to love all the people who were the victims. It's easy to love the bystanders who are now affected because, they feared for their life, and many of those will go through things like post-traumatic stress. So it's easy for me to kind of feel loving and compassionate towards them. Not so much towards the gunman, if I'm going to be honest with myself. And then I take a look, I read things like the fact that the U.S. voted against the UN resolution that condemned the death penalty for religious blasphemy, adultery, and same-sex relations. And my blood starts to boil. And I'm like, okay, how does that, love your neighbor? I'm supposed to love those people in government who, who the heck made that decision? Because, in what world is that okay? These are the things that they get really strong in me and really make me angry. I know I'm not looking too angry, but I've done a little work on it already this morning. So here are some ideas to help you, because I've had to do them all today myself to kind of get in a place, because right now there is no part of me that could really sit still and go into any kind of contemplation that was going to be loving and kind and all of that, because I want to stomp and I want to scream, and I won't scream because there's other people in the office, but I can get up. And so I invite you, if you're able, to stand up and to shake and stomp your feet and punch the air and wiggle your shoulders and do what you need to do, because the jumping around and the shaking and the stomping your feet will help get some of that just frustration, anger, and everything out. The other thing I realized was paying attention, that one of the things that helped me was paying attention to the beauty that was around me. And so as I was walking out my door this morning, I found this absolutely gorgeous rose. And I brought it today to share with all of you. So it's a reminder to me. It's okay, so in the midst of these things that look yucky and these things that are hard, I can find beauty. And so if I can focus on that, that's helpful. Sometimes just lighting a candle or 2 or 3 is helpful. Yes, I work with children, so it's the flameless one. And it's one I could find this morning. So sometimes lighting a candle helps. It helps me just calm and center. Sometimes looking at objects are reminding me of Jesus, or looking at something that says Buddy Jesus. He sits in my office, makes me smile, and the teens love him. So sometimes looking at something like that helps. Sometimes looking at something totally goofy and fun helps, like my little pumpkin guy that the sun will make move and do fun things. Sometimes when it feels super overwhelming, the thing we need to do the most is maybe hold on to a favorite stuffed animal. Smokey the Bear is one of my favorites. This is my reduced size to have it work. My big one's at home. So sometimes we need to hold on to something and just curl up with something. And so those are all some ways to then start getting ourselves in that place where we can actually go to a place of centering prayer and contemplation, all of which is not easy when there's these big things going on. And when we're looking at a concept like love your neighbor, which seems really easy when it's like family, friends, even when it's the homeless person down the street, But for me, when it's someone who's done violence to someone else, or where a decision's been made that's going to hurt a bunch of people, I have a lot of words that come up for me, and I have a lot of like, that happens. So I just invite you to kind of be with that and be okay with that. It's okay to feel that. It's okay to be frustrated and to kind of like try to work this out and go, okay, but this is what I believe, and oh, this is what I'm feeling right now, and they're not working. They're not coming together as easily as I would like them to. So I did a lot of that this morning so that I could get to a place to lead a meditation this morning. So I now invite you, if you still need to shake or stomp, to do that, to do what you need to do, and then come back to this when you're ready. And then, and if you are in a place now where you've gotten some of that out so that you can be in a place to enter into a time of prayer, then I invite you to join me right now, and we're going to drop in. So close or lower your eyes, whatever is most comfortable for you. And notice your body. And particularly notice your breath. And take a big breath in and let it out. And again, and let it out. And one last time, and let it out. Just allow your breathing to return to its own natural rhythm, whatever that is. Creator God, as we enter this time of prayer and meditation, we just ask your blessing on this time that we have. And particularly, we ask that your peace and compassion that is beyond understanding, that your love come down and enfold us and bring us wisdom and compassion and show us what it really means to love our neighbor. Just ask that you be with us and help us as we move into this time of meditation. Amen. So continue to notice your breathing as I just did. Asking for God's help and guidance at times like this is really important. So I ask that you go inside and you ask yourself what it means to you to love your neighbor. What does it mean to love your neighbor? And if you're unsure who your neighbor is, go back to who is my neighbor? But what does it mean to love your neighbor? And if my neighbor is everyone, that there is no one on this planet that is not my neighbor. Wow. Scary. Feels big, feels hard. Okay. So how can I do that? So let's start where it's easy. I invite you to picture someone in front of you whom you really love and care about, and it is easy to love them. I mean, they are amazing. It might be a person, it might be a favorite pet, but no matter what it is, it's easy to love them. And just feel what that feels like for you. If it's like for me, I can feel God's love coming through me to that person, and it just flows easily. And I just allow God's love to flow through me to that person or that pet. So I can really feel what it's like to have that, to feel God's love flow through me. And when that feels easy, then I move to maybe a neighbor or maybe a friend I've had a disagreement with, or a friend that I care about but whose belief systems, like we talked about the other day, are really divergent from mine. So now I picture them in front of me. And I allow again God's love to flow through me to that person. I notice where in me the hiccup comes, where it maybe doesn't flow as easily. And as much as possible, I continue to open up and allow God's love, the God who has the peace that passes all understanding. I don't have to understand. All I need to do is just to allow and know that with God's help, I can show love. So just continue to allow love to flow to this person. And if you need to go back to remember how easily it flowed with someone you really love, go there and then picture the next harder person in front of you. And if you're ready to move on, picture the next person. That maybe it's an acquaintance, maybe it's somebody that really hurt you. Maybe it's someone whose, once again, beliefs are so very different from yours. Maybe it's a family member. So do the next harder person to love. And do your best to allow God's love to flow through you. So that you too can start feeling that love and compassion for that person. And I'm sure you see where I'm going, that this is a daily or a weekly, an individual practice, because it may be a long way for you to go from the person I easily love to the gunman in Las Vegas, or the people in our government who made the decision to vote against, with 13 other countries to vote against the UN resolution. Or maybe it's some other government thing going on, or some other thing going on in your life that is the outside edge that's really, really hard for you. I invite you to use this as part of your practice. Start where it's easy to love your neighbor. And then allow yourself to go to the more difficult. Stretch yourself so that you can come to that point where it isn't about necessarily what they did. You can completely disagree with it, as I do, and still find the way that you can send God's love and compassion, that you can feel God's love and compassion for them as well. That recognizing that when Jesus said, love your neighbor, it was everyone. And it starts with even seeing them as my neighbor, with being willing to just have loving thoughts, not loving thoughts, but I guess getting to a place of neutral thoughts, to where it's not anger and hate I'm sending out, but using God's love to even bring me to that place of balance and neutrality, where it may not be active love going out, but it's not kind of going out either. And then if I can move to that place of love, knowing that love is called for at this time for these people more than anything. Love is what is called for. And maybe that's what I can do with love your neighbor. It is not easy to recognize and to put our faith into action, to recognize that everyone's our neighbor, to recognize really then what loving your neighbor means. And sometimes it's an active thing that you can take, like when we have Faith Cafe or our food cupboard here at the building. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's just working with our own selves and getting to a place where we're recognizing this is a call for love. And so that I can do. And it's a process. So wherever you are on this journey, you're in the right place. And thank you for allowing me a place to go ahead and work through some of this myself and share it with you. Have an absolutely blessed week.